Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your sources on a topic, really dig in, and pull out the essentials for you.
And today we're tackling a really big one, a Japanese concept that's gone global, promising purpose, Ikigai.
Right, Ikigai. So our mission here is to get past the usual sound bites.
Exactly. We want to separate that popular Western, take the checklist version from what it means more deeply, culturally, psychologically.
Because it sounds like it's maybe a bit messier and maybe more interesting than the internet version suggests.
Oh, definitely more interesting. You'll see.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning. The word itself, Ikigai. It's written Eikiga.
Yeah, and the literal translation is something like a reason for being.
So if we break it down, Iki, that's life or alive.
Life, alive, yeah. And kai, which often becomes gai in the compound word, means effect, result, value.
So what makes life worth living? Simple as that.
Deceptively simple, maybe, but that broadness is important. Even the Japanese government describes it quite widely
Awesome.
as basically anything that brings value and joy to life. Could be friends, could be hobbies, focusing on your kids, work. It's very open.
And when it first sort of hit the global scene, how was it framed? I remember seeing books about it.
Right. Authors like Garcia and Morales talked about it as the happiness of always being busy.
Always busy. Okay.
Yeah, they compared it a bit to logotherapy. Viktor Frankl's idea about finding meaning.
Sure, finding meaning even through suffering.
Exactly. But they suggested Ikigai goes a step further. It's not just about meaning, but about active engagement in life, finding things that really pull you in.
Okay, so that broadness, that openness, maybe that's why people wanted something more concrete.
I think that's exactly it. It led to this search for a clear, actionable tool. And that brings us right to the famous diagram.
Ah, yes, the Venn diagram. If you've looked up Ikigai online, you've definitely seen it. 4 overlapping circles.
It's everywhere, and it's incredibly catchy, right? It takes this big, potentially fuzzy idea and gives you 4 boxes to tick.
So what are the 4 domains in that popular model?
Okay, so the diagram says Ikigai is smack in the middle, where these 4 things overlap. 1, what you love, what you like doing.
Okay.
2, what you're good at, your skills.
Makes sense.
3, what the world needs, some kind of contribution.
Right.
And 4, what you can be paid for or rewarded for, your career, basically.
The sweet spot where passion, mission, vocation, and profession supposedly meet.
That's the idea. Nail all 4 and boom, you found your Ikigai.
But here's where our sources throw a curveball, right?
Here's the big twist. Your source material is really clear on this. That incredibly popular, widely shared Venn diagram, it did not originate in Japan.
Wait, seriously, the main thing defining Ikigai for millions globally isn't Japanese?
It's essentially a Western framework applied to the concept. Sources point to it being popularized by Mark Wynn, who was inspired by an earlier purpose diagram from Andrei Zuzunaga.
Huh. So it's a globalized interpretation.
Exactly. And notice what's really central in that diagram, career and economics. That 4th circle, what you can be rewarded for, that element is much less emphasized in the original Japanese understanding.
But hang on, if the diagram works for people, if it helps them think about purpose, does it matter if it's not authentic? Is it really misleading or just a useful tool?
That's a great question. Utility versus origin. Your sources lean towards calling it catchy but misleading.
Misleading how?
Well, by framing Ikigai as this perfect overlap, especially with the financial element being so key, it can become an unrealistic ideal.
Ah, so chasing that perfect center point could actually cause stress instead of fulfillment.
Precisely. The pressure to make all 4 circles line up perfectly might work against the actual feeling Ikigai is supposed to represent in its original context.
Okay, so we need to shift gears.
Yeah.
Move away from the external checklist.
Right.
And dive into the internal, the Japanese psychological perspective. This is where the real concept lives, maybe?
This is where it gets much deeper, yes. When Japanese psychologists discuss Ikigai, it's far less about those external validations.
So what is it about?
Psychologist Michiko Kumano, for instance, talks about it as a sense of fulfillment, accomplishment that comes when people pursue things spontaneously and undertaken willingly.
Spontaneous and willing. That seems key. It means it has to be voluntary, right?
Yeah.
Driven by you, not by obligation or just needing a paycheck.
Exactly. It's personal. It wells up from inside.
Okay.
And Katsuya Nue, another researcher, offers a more technical breakdown. He says Ikigai has two parts.
Two parts.
First, there are the sources or objects of Ikigai. These are the things that bring meaning to your life. Could be hobbies, relationships, work, nature, whatever.
Well, what?
The what, exactly. But second, there's the actual feeling, the feeling that your life has value or meaning because those sources exist.
So it's not just having the sources, it's the internal emotional state they create, that feeling of worth.
That's the core of it. It's that intrinsic sense that life is meaningful because of these connections or activities.
That feels very different from the four circles.
Very different. And this is where Inui's work takes another really interesting, maybe even shocking turn. He classifies Ikigai based on its social dimension.
Social dimension. Okay, like how it relates to others?
Sort of. He identifies social Ikigai first. These are activities generally accepted and valued by society. Think volunteering, contributing to the community.
Okay, that fits the positive image. What else?
Then there's non-social Ikigai. This isn't directly tied to societal interaction. It could be things like religious faith, personal discipline, maybe deep engagement with art or nature for its own sake.
All right, still sounds pretty positive, or at least neutral. What's the last one? You said shocking.
Well, here it is. The third category is antisocial Ikigai.
Antisocial. What does that even mean in this context? Purpose. That's bad.
According to this classification, yes. It refers to motivation that comes from, well, darker places. Basic drives fueled by negative emotions.
Like what?
Things like a powerful desire to hate someone or something. Or even the drive for revenge.
Wow. Okay. That completely flips the script. So Ikigai isn't necessarily about being happy or good.
From this purely psychological viewpoint, it seems purpose is just the engine, the motivation itself. It's detached from morality. It's whatever raw force gets you up in the morning, makes you feel life has intensity, even if society would judge the source as negative or destructive.
That's profound and unsettling. It makes the concept much more complex, much more maybe human, reflecting the full spectrum.
It definitely moves it far away from the simple, feel-good commercial version. It forces you to think about what motivation really is.
It really does. It makes you reconsider historical figures or even people you know, what kind of Ikigai drives them.
Exactly. It frames purpose as a mechanism. Now, connecting this back, Ikigai isn't just a recent pop psychology fad either. It has academic history.
Right. You mentioned it was popularized academically.
Yes, by a Japanese psychiatrist, Miyako Kamiya, back in 1966. She wrote a book called On the Meaning of Life, where Ikigai was a central theme.
1966. So it has deep roots in Japanese thought about meaning, and have ideas about it changed over time within Japan.
Oh, absolutely. Society changes, and so do the sources of meaning. Anthropologist Chikako Ozawa de Silva found a really interesting generational difference.
Wow.
For the older generation she studied, Ikigai was often tied to fitting in, to the standard mold of company and family. It was more collective, about fulfilling expected roles.
So their purpose was found in duty, in contribution to the group, the company, the family structure, almost like their resumes, you said.
That's a good way to put it. Very much about social contribution within established norms. But the younger generation, total different perspective.
What do they report?
Their Ikigai was much more about dreams of what they might become in the future. It shifted towards individual potential, personal aspirations, finding their own path.
Wow, that's a huge shift. From collective duty to individual dreams. That reflects broader global changes too, I suppose.
It certainly seems to.
Now let's talk about the most famous association. Longevity. You can't really discuss Ikigai without someone mentioning Okinawa.
True. It's become almost synonymous, partly thanks to Dan Buettner's work on blue zones, places with exceptional longevity. He pointed to Ikigai as a potential factor in Okinawa.
What was the connection he made? Why would having a purpose help Okinawans live longer?
Well, one observation was that many Okinawans don't have the same strong desire to retire in the Western sense.
Meaning they just keep working.
Not necessarily just any work, but they often continue with their favorite jobs or deeply involving activities for as long as they're physically able. There isn't that sharp cutoff. The purpose continues.
So continued engagement, continued sense of purpose.
Exactly. And Buettner also highlighted something else crucial, moai.
Moai, what's that?
It's a traditional Okinawan practice. Basically, a close-knit group of friends, a social support network, often formed in childhood, that lasts throughout life.
So strong social bond.
Vital social bonds. This group provides emotional, social, sometimes even financial support. It's another powerful source of meaning, connection, and a reason to keep going. It underlines that Ikigai isn't always solitary. It's often deeply social.
That makes sense. Purpose and community intertwined. Now, you mentioned health connections earlier. Let's get into the science a bit more. What do the studies actually show?
This is where it gets fascinatingly specific. The sources indicate a clear link between lacking Ikigai and certain health problems.
Which one?
Specifically, cardiovascular diseases. People who report not feeling a sense of Ikigai appear to be statistically more likely to suffer from heart issues, circulatory problems.
So a lack of purpose could literally be, well, bad for your heart. It's not just a metaphor.
The data suggests a real physiological connection there, but interestingly, there was a limit noted in the sources. Yes. While the connection to cardiovascular health was present, the study cited found no significant correlation between a lack of Ikigai and the development of malignant tumors, like cancer.
That's specific. So purpose impacts heart health, but maybe not cancer risk in the same way.
It suggests the mind-body connection through purpose might have quite specific pathways, focusing perhaps on stress regulation, lifestyle factors affecting the heart, that sort of thing. It's not a magic bullet against all diseases.
Okay, so let's try to wrap our heads around this journey. We started with this neat, tidy four-circle diagram.
The checklist for purpose and profit.
Right. And we've ended up somewhere much more complex, deeply internal, psychological, based on spontaneous, willing engagement.
And acknowledging that the source could be anything from community work to, well, even darker antisocial motivations, depending on the framework you use.
It really dismantles this simple self-help narrative.
I think the biggest takeaway, looking across all these sources, is that Ikigai, in its deeper sense, isn't really a transaction. It's not about achieving overlapping circles to get a reward.
It's more fundamental than that.
It's more like the raw engine, the motivation, the feeling of value that defines why you engage with life, regardless of whether society applauds or even understands the source of that feeling. It's defined from the inside out.
That internal validation versus external achievement, that feels like the core difference.
I think so.
So we started this deep dive looking for a universal key to purpose, but we found a concept rooted in a specific culture, Japan, with its own strong social dynamics, like that older generation's Ikigai tied to company and family.
Right, the collective expectation.
And then we saw the shift to the younger generation's focus on individual dreams. So here's the thought to leave you, the listener, with. Given that contrast between purpose defined by fitting a collective mold versus purpose defined by chasing individual future potential, how much does the very nature of what you consider your own Ikigai, your own reason for being, reflect or even define the broader generational quest for meaning in your own time and culture?
That's a deep one, something to definitely reflect on as you figure out what truly makes life feel worthwhile for you.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll explore another topic next time.